Welcome.
I'm Andrea.
I'm Jim. Welcome to With the Child.
I do that differently than you. You're like this, and I'm like.
You're like, I blow it, and you follow it.
Yeah. Let's talk about our shirts. What are we?
Okay.
Tesla.
So one of the cool things that has happened in our lives
because of sobriety.
Because of living clean and sober.
Yeah.
We do a lot of stuff together. We do a little traveling. We're open. I said to her about a year ago, it'd be cool to see Tesla. They're touring again. And it was after COVID, and they were playing at the House of Blues in New Orleans. And she said, well, let's go.
Yeah, we had points to use on our card.
Yeah,
so.
So we got free airline, free hotel.
Yeah. And
then we went to New Orleans for 3 days and saw Tesla, ate at Emeril's restaurant.
That was the best.
I'm a rock and roll enthusiast, and I was with kindred spirits.
Yeah.
And my favorite spirit, and we had a great time.
That makes me want to talk about the guy we met at the concert. Where was the concert at?
The House of Blues.
Yeah, that was
in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And I think, are you talking about the guy that was in recovery?
Yeah. I mean, you guys are everywhere.
Yeah. There's a lot of us, which means there was a lot of us that did a lot of things that we probably shouldn't have. But, that's a cool topic.
It is.
Because I've become a very spiritual person, and had I all those years ago, if I would have not started taking drugs, would I be where I'm at now as a human? Or would I be some just not spiritual, not just a robot? I don't know what I would be like. And I've come to like who I am. I've become comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah. So in a sense, and I think that's good to realize that, not necessarily to wish differently because it happened how it happened.
Right.
And so I'm hearing you say you're grateful for it because you wouldn't be able to appreciate what you have, or maybe you wouldn't have wanted what you have.
There's someone, and I'm not going to say names or anything, but he says, I'm grateful for every damn drink I ever took, especially the last one. And, it's good. But we went to see Tesla, and we're in the House of Blues, and did you go to get shirts?
I did. I left you downstairs. We didn't want to lose our spots.
Right.
Because we were in the front.
Yeah, we were 8 feet from the stage. We didn't want to lose our spot. And there was, I don't know if you can tell, but I like to talk. So, of course, I made friends with everyone around me.
Yes, you did.
And
but I want to talk about Tesla. Why I wanted to see him because you and I grew up together. We were high school sweethearts. We grew up together, and we grew up. I remember we lived in a trailer, and we listened to Tesla often in that. What did you call that? Stereo.
It was a console.
Yeah.
It was a Fisher.
Good memories for me. And that's really all. I remember listening to Tesla in that trailer often. And that was really ever it.
And I think that's the album that What You Give came out on.
Yeah.
And I remember that.
So it was special for me to see them with you.
And I'd seen him once before when I was 19, and then I got to see him again, and it was awesome. It was awesome.
And the guy, the lead singer, what's his name?
Jeff Keith.
Oh, he was amazing. Kind of sexy up there, like feminine and sexy, and
he's
right.
I'll say it. He's sexy.
He's wearing those tight leopard jeans long hair, a white t-shirt, bracelets.
She really checking him out.
Yeah, and he smiled a lot. Like, he freaking is happy.
He was, well, you know, he loves doing what he's doing, I think. And that makes a difference.
We think he smiled at you.
Oh, I know he smiled at me.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
I mean,
pretty excited.
We made eye contact a few times, and I was just like, yeah! And he went like that. But the guy that we met in the audience, his dad was in recovery.
Yeah.
And he'd been sober like 30 some years, and he had just passed away. And his son was there. And it was just, he told me some of the things his dad said. And they were from like Michigan. Mm-hmm. And he said, my dad always used to say, meeting makers make it. And stuff like that. Yeah. And it's like, man, we all say the corny sayings, but they're true.
They're true. That one is clever.
That is true.
Meeting makers make it. Why we have to support our people in recovery.
Yes. Yeah.
To your meetings. You meeting with your sponsor this week?
Yeah.
Because when they are not going to meetings and when they are not meeting with their sponsors on their regular basis, that's when you want to worry, is what I've been told. But I think every case is different. I'm just putting that out there.
Going to meetings is not the only thing that's a component of the whole.
Yeah.
You know, working the steps, going to meetings, meeting with your sponsor, having sponsees.
Mm-hmm. Talking with your partner.
Yeah, talking.
I think if we quit talking about it, that would make me.
Yeah.
I would feel concerned.
Because this has become the normal. Mm-hmm. We live our podcast. So this is how we live. If the cameras weren't here, we'd be talking about something.
Yeah.
Some of it recovery, some of it rock and roll, some of it works, but we talk a lot. And for a married couple, we are together a lot. More so than we ever were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Well, I want to mention, because we have talked about this often, not drinking anymore and going to a concert. Did you ever feel like life is going to be so boring?
In the beginning, when I, made the decision to go to treatment, and I knew I couldn't drink and I couldn't take drugs, and you do feel like you're looking forward, thinking, well, what am I gonna do? I don't even know myself. Now I realize that's what I was feeling, but at the time I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know, how am I gonna, what am I gonna do? I don't even know me. And it's scary. It's really scary. But one thing led to another.
Yeah.
You got to start somewhere. Just like if you're looking at your garage and it's a mess, what do? Mm-hmm. You start in a corner and you just starting.
Yeah.
And that's where I think people that may want to come, and people that are tired of being chained to something, but they don't know where to start, Mm-hmm. And I guess my suggestion would be, you just have to start somewhere.
Yeah. I think what I've noticed with you is you did the same thing every day. Every day you were doing, but you always like a schedule. Your day is like, I know where you're at 1 o'clock. I know where you're at 5 o'clock.
We had
Saturday. I know where you're at 3 or 4 o'clock.
We had a blizzard this last week. We live in Wyoming. We had a blizzard, and on a Wednesday, nobody opened their businesses. I didn't go to my morning normal meeting at 8:30, and she came out to the living room and she said, "You okay? You seem kind of." And I said,
and it made me
feel. I'm kind of. I haven't done anything that I normally do, and I don't know what to do. And then I feel guilty because we're not open, and I feel, we're gonna miss business, and we're gonna. and it's not like we're gonna miss business because we need money.
Well, we
we're
do.
gonna
Our business needs money.
we have employees and we have
Yeah.
we need to operate, and that I just didn't know. I was little.
Yeah. Well, a minute ago we were talking about what it felt like for you to go out without alcohol. And I feel like I need to be transparent, and this is another topic that I think is important to talk about. We talked about early on, because I do drink. I've never used drugs, but I've consumed alcohol. A lot of alcohol. And I don't drink hardly ever anymore. But I still like to have a beer, football season. I like to go, Jim will take me, we'll get a 6-pack of beer. I still have 3 beers in the garage. But my point is we talked early on in your recovery about how that would make you feel, me drinking. So I had to understand I may not be drinking, or you're fine with me having drinks.
Is there a question coming?
I'm letting people watching know that it's a good question to ask your person. Are you uncomfortable with me drinking? Do I need to stop drinking? Because I'm telling you, some people can be very judgmental about this. I've been judged by it. People, family have thought, oh, she's drinking around Jim. But
there's a passage in one of the books that says something to the effect of, you can't take all the alcohol away or all the drugs away. I'm responsible for myself. So if I'm around someone that's drinking, or if I'm around you that's drinking and it gets a little too whatever,
yeah,
I need to know I have to take myself out of that situation. You don't have to change for me. You do not have to change the way you live for your spouse when it comes to them living a healthy life.
But I do want to be considerate and not drink. I don't drink every night. I don't, But I also know alcohol doesn't do me well in my life. I don't need it all the time either. I like having a clear mind for myself.
Being normal and not being normal.
Yeah.
I love the cloudy. I love the cloudy, I guess.
Oh,
I guess when you're always loaded, there's a lot of gray area. And that's kind of where we go anyway, is in the gray area.
That was funny.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking, we're pretty cool. Wearing our Tesla t-shirts,
Well,
even though, they're like an old band, but we went to New Orleans, we watched Tesla at the House of Blues.
What is old anymore?
We went to Emerald's restaurant. That was a friend of ours from Casterburg told us about Emerald's. That was one of the best experiences of our lives, right? It was of my life. The service, the food. Oh, their hospitality was wonderful.
It was crazy how hot it was. Because you see people do the fine dining stuff on TV, and they take so much time in making it that eye candy.
Yeah.
But it was hot. It was hot. But it was expensive, and there was 16 people in the kitchen that we could see, and the restaurant probably had 40 people in it.
Yeah.
But it takes all those people to make sure that it's perfect.
Let's tell our people that are watching, when we toured the cemeteries, how flipping cool that was. I don't think we knew, what are they called, the buildings?
It's not a mausoleum. The tomb, the crypt, the above ground.
That was a cool freaking experience.
Thing. Yeah, we did get to go to some of the cemeteries, and we did the haunted tour, and they tried to scare us a little bit. But we went at night. It was like 10 o'clock at night. It was dark
and flipping hot.
And it was hot. And
I had a frizz head the whole time we were there.
Me too. And
but But what I thought was cool, every time I see those things in movies,
Mausoleum.
Yeah,
I think it's a
mausoleum.
mausoleum.
let us know if we're wrong. But I thought, gosh, that's crazy. One body goes in there? That takes up a lot of space.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much history as to why they use those.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
remember any of it?
Yes. Okay, so the humidity or the low water line, they couldn't dig really deep to bury a body. And at that time, the Catholic religion would not allow you to burn the body or be cremated. So what they did was they built these mausoleums, put the body in there, and then in 1 year it would decompose and cremate itself on its own.
That's right.
And then they had this tool that the next person that needed to be buried in there in your family.
And it would be family, yeah.
Yeah, they would scoot the remains off the back, and it would fall down a big hole.
That's right.
And then they would lay the new body in there, and then brick it back up again. And the humidity and the heat from being at that climate there, it would do the same thing. It would decompose. It would combust on its. It wouldn't burn, but it would. Mm-hmm. It was the same thing.
And then, there'd
Slow
be
cooking
names
the body
of the
'cause it'd be
family
300
members on the
degrees in
door.
there. Yeah.
And there could be 10 people. Like, it was very interesting.
And one of the phrase, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole, came from that tool that they used to scoot the remains off the back of the slab that held the body. Morbid. I was in New Orleans. We learned about not touching nothing with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
But that was all experiences. Everything that we did together there was done sober, was done clean, and with a happy heart. We were happy the whole time we were there.
And that's why we're doing this too. This podcast is to show you guys, those of you that are starting in your journey or you're struggling, anybody can have this with communication, caring for your person, and each other, caring for each other. Like, you can't do this if you're just gonna sit in the anger and blame and resentment. It just can't work, I don't think. But these are my opinions.
Resentments keep you sick.
Yeah. So remember, you guys, this is our one shot here on Earth. This is it. And remember I tell you, that's why I work on myself, because I want to make you happy. Myself happy, obviously. But you're also in my heart and in my mind when I'm making myself feel better and happier. It's because I want you to be happy with me. That was good, huh?
That was good. I like it.
But I do tell you that. I'm not just saying that because we're on this podcast. You tell me I don't think too much too. I overthink, think too much.
So what are we talking about?
I think we could wrap up.
We went to Tesla, we had a great time. There is life after stopping. There is life to be lived.
Yeah. And more money.
And more money.
More money, because you're not spending it on
myself.
That's right.
No
and
secrets.
We had somebody tell us that too, that he helped us a lot. And he said, Jim, what did he say? Honey, you get...
So when I was in the hospital, he sat next to me, and if he's watching this, you know who I'm talking about. He sat next to me and he said, if you can stay sober, your life will be amazing.
Your life and your business, which is our life, but he was very clear
about
our business because it was struggling.
Will be amazing. Mm-hmm. And he happens to be, he just celebrated 12 years a few months ago.
So he was speaking from experience.
We
were so grateful for that. That makes me want to share. I had one person in Jim's life tell me, don't put him in the treatment center. He doesn't want it. And then I had another person say, with the hard work, you guys will have everything you want. And those two, like, the positive phrase was life-changing for me. Because I knew, I've seen, he spoke it, he lived it, his life is wonderful. And so, yeah, his words really helped me to really stick in and do the work. Because I wanted a good future.
And I didn't know what the future was going to hold.
I didn't either, but I just had to do the day-by-day stuff.
But we had to, and that's how you start in recovery. It might be 5 minutes, 1 minute at a time, 5 minutes at a time, an hour at a time, a day at a time. You know, you just, whatever works for you.
And also, I knew that I wanted to stay with you and be married to you and, you know, watch our grandkids grow up. But I also knew that that might not be a possibility. But I was going to work at that. So, does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about the grandkid thing.
I know we don't have any.
We don't have any.
But that's good. Our kids are happy.
They'll be ready when
When
it'll
they're
happen
ready.
when it happens.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, any last minute words of wisdom? From Jim Childs.
From Jim Childs.
There's a phrase you always like to say.
Well, I want to talk about 90 and 90.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if I said this on our first one or not, but when I went to treatment, I got a sponsor right away and I started working steps. And I relapsed. And then I got right back into it. And 3 months later, I relapsed. And after that, that was my last time. And he said to me, you know, I think you need to do 90 meetings in 90 days. He said, I didn't have you do that because you were in treatment. And I just assumed you were getting the benefit of all that, being there, you know, every day for 30 days. And the thing is, that's where the difference is in treatment versus going to meetings and hearing other people's experiences. When you're in treatment, you're in a bubble from the outside world. When you are in the outside world and you go to meetings, when I go to a meeting, I'm in that room for 1 hour and I'm hearing other people's experience and their strength on what they've done in their lives. And that's real world, tangible. You can see it. There's nothing like, and let me back up. I started going to the meeting. I started going to a meeting every day at noon. And then I started chairing that meeting. And then, you know, people started to see it change in me. I didn't really see it. I just knew I was starting to become more comfortable with myself and more comfortable in my recovery. And every now and again, I knew what to do. You know, just in general. And that for me was a game changer.